So the FBI investigates the NBA for cheating allegations, and that's going to cast a shadow over all professional sports if you stop to think about it. We'll talk about that next on the ProZone. Welcome to the ProZone. I'm Matt Roberts. So the FBI, back on October 23rd, investigated the NBA, or has released their findings, or their initial findings of an investigation on the NBA over cheating allegations. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to go into this as much detail as possible, but the problem you have with this is it doesn't just affect the NBA. Now it calls into question everything. We're going to touch on that. So let's start with the allegations. I have a stack of stuff over here to go through. All right. So it was breaking news released. It was October 23rd. Bombshell. Individuals, quote, individuals such as Chauncey Billups. This is from the Kash Patel, FBI director. Quote, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. Now, Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, they came up when I came up. They were my generation players, right? So these are now coaches, and apparently they were cheating. And there are other players also, current players, that are cheating. All right, so this is what you don't know. Quote, what you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. All right, so this has been going on for a while, okay? FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. So this is October 23rd. Here's a kind of a more of a detailed breakdown, all right? Instead of playing the whole clip, we're just going to hit some key points. Current former NBA players and coaches, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, they were arrested. There was an illegal gambling and sports rigging operation that spanned 11 states. 30 individuals have been arrested. 13 mafia members are among those 30 that were arrested. So it's the Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia. I'm half Italian. There are stereotypes for a reason, folks. The Italians are the mob. It's just how it is. The case involves the Cosa Nostra, as it says right here. Charges include illegal gambling, wire fraud, and extortion. 2 separate indictments. The first involves 6 defendants accused of participating in a sports competition scheme that exploited insider information involving NBA players and teams. The defendants leveraged their connections to place prop bets based on confidential insider information, winning tens of thousands of dollars per bet. Now, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to skip over the other stuff. They have there's a couple of things in there they rigged poker games. They had cameras inside the decks when you deal the cards off. There's a small camera that was reading the card as they were dealing the card. So that was sending signals to the guys that were playing. They had marked cards and technology to see the numbers on the cards based off of the patterns or something. They had all this crazy tech. That's not the part I'm concerned about the most. I'm concerned about the gambling on the sports, okay? Now, keep this in mind. We just got done losing a player, a legend who I grew up with, Pete Rose, who was banned for life for gambling on baseball. He had an addiction. He was addicted to gambling, all right? Fine. He bet on his team to win. He never bet on his team to lose. If he bet on his team to lose and threw a game, different story. But he bet on his team to win, but still he was banned for life. Now we have this. So let me get into this deeper. FBI says NBA player Terry Rozier, here we go, told the defendants that he was going to leave a game early on March 23rd of 2023, 2 years ago, with an injury. The defendants then placed more than $200,000 of wagers on the unders for his prop bets, with Rozier leaving the game after 9 minutes. Those bets paid out tens of thousands of dollars in profits, and the defendants and Rozier counted the money at his house. So Terry Rozier was playing in a game, told his defenders, his co-conspirators, right? He said, hey, I'm going to leave the game about 9 minutes with an injury. So place your bets because the results of the game are going to change because I'm gone. All right? That's why he did that. So they placed their bets to make money. He said, I'm taking myself out. You make money when I'm gone. FBI says a former Raptors player, Jonte Porter, was threatened to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. Stick with the gambling debts thing. We're going to circle back to that. There's a reason to stick. Trust me on this. It's going to get pretty hairy. Teams that were bet on during the sports gambling scheme included the Charlotte Hornets, Portland Trailblazers, Los Angeles Lakers, and Toronto Raptors. Okay, let me talk about the rigged poker game for a while, and there we go. So, let's just, there's a lot of other, like 16 different points that I'm not going to read over, because that's about the gambling in a little more detail. Let's talk about the key stuff. Players that are throwing games and who has been implicated in the scheme. And what does this mean to sports in general? And what does it mean to college sports? Because everything I'm doing ties back to college to a point, and actually we'll tie back to high school since I do a lot of recruiting work as it is with high school students. Now, what does this mean? Well, first off, let's start with the teams that were bet on during the sports gambling scheme. One of those teams was Los Angeles Lakers. And one of the co-conspirators came out and said, yeah, they implicated LeBron James. They just said it. No charges have been filed against LeBron James. I'm not saying LeBron James did it. I'm just saying that one of the co-conspirators came out and implicated LeBron James. So if you have a guy, Terry Rozier, who says, I'm going to be injured to leave a game, okay? And then when I leave the game, place your bets to make a lot of money. Well, now you got to look at all these players who are hurt all the time or suddenly injured, like, LeBron James. I mean, look at this clip here of LeBron James. Look, of him flopping, acting the fool after getting a foul, smiling about it. Now, he could be just clowning around, but at the same point, he does over-exaggerate a lot of his fouls against him. So he could claim that he's injured, which then would take him out of the game, which would then skew the game, and it would cue the guys to place their bets, because after a certain window of time, they'll know LeBron's going to be hurt and be out of the game. I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying now you have to ask the question of everything. I mean, I'm serious, of everything. It has tainted professional sports, and they're already tainted as it is. I'm doing an investigation on, is it possible to rig the Super Bowl? Is it possible? Is the NFL scripted? Can it be like professional wrestling, where they set the outcome, but they kind of leave it up in the air for how they get there? All right? I'm looking into it. Is it possible? I don't know. I'm going to look at both sides and see, but we're looking into that, okay? Well, that's already got allegations. We're already questioning that. And you had a referee who was arrested years ago for gambling. I forget his name, Tim Daugherty, I think it was, or Tim Daugherty, who was arrested for gambling on NBA games. He fixed the games with his calls. You got referees who are making weird calls, or people are throwing the flag. They're going, wait a second, why are the referees making these calls during an NFL game? Why do they seem to be always calling it in favor of the Chiefs, as they said last year? And keep this in mind, so much so they said it about the Chiefs last year. They kept, on the social media, kept talking about how this ref's calling this in their favor, this ref's ignoring this call, they're getting this call in their favor. And then all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs go to the Super Bowl and they are destroyed by the Eagles. Very lackluster, too. It makes you wonder, are they letting the Chiefs take the fall so they can't say, see, if they can say, we're not fixed against the Chiefs, we're not favoring them because, look, they got beat up by the Eagles. That's the point. I don't even want to have to entertain it, but you have to entertain it, because when this comes out, you have the referee already cheating in the NBA. That questions other referees. That questions Major League Baseball. How easy is it to fix a Major League Baseball game if you're a referee? You're calling the balls and strikes. There's no one to overrule a ball and strike. You have replay for certain plays, but not for balls and strikes. So your word is God, basically, right? Yours the final word of it all. And then you have the NBA. So there's so many things that are called into question. Again, if LeBron James has been implicated by a co-conspirator, allegedly, right? Was he throwing games? Then you got to look at players like Joel Embiid, who's all-star, but he's always hurt. So for some reason, like there's injuries, and then there's like other small injuries, like I don't know, he had like what was it called, a Bell's palsy or a stubbed toe, little things that they say, oh, that's an injury that I have to come out on this, or I have the flu, or I'm sick. You don't know whether or not now you don't know whether they're calling the injury simply because they're trying to skew the game to make money. I mean, seriously, how hard could that be? If this is able to happen, it's been going on for now, at least they're tracking at least 4 years, or about 4 years ago, right? 4 years, they said. If it's going on for about 4 years, and what did they say it involved? 11 teams? Hold on. 4 years, and they said it involved, where is it? 11 states and 30 different individuals? How long has it been going on? Has it been going on longer than that? I mean, you have to actually start questioning the recent trend, last several years, of the thing that people call load management. What's load management? Load management is when a player is too tired because the 82-game grind of an NBA season is so exhausting that they have to take themselves out of a game to get a rest. Now, you can chalk it up to them just being pussies, Oh, well, they're just weak. They're not developed enough. They're coddled. They're spoiled. They're, millennials or Gen Z who have been coddled their whole lives with participation trophies and whatnot. You could chalk it up to that, but now you have to ask the question. Is load management, could it be used to skew a game? Could LeBron James or another player remove themselves from a game to take a rest due to load management so the gamblers can make money when they remove themselves from the game? Hey guys, I'm going to pull myself out of the game for load management to take a rest on X date. Place your bets on that game for that date now, so you make a lot of money when I'm removed, because now the other team's going to do better because I'm not there to tilt the scales. You have to ask it. You have to ask the question. And Michael Jordan, I have a clip here. Let me find that. Michael Jordan was recently interviewed regarding the load management. Okay, it was a sit down for an interview. Here it is.
The term load management has become such a hot button in the NBA.
How I know you were going to talk about that one?
Because you played 80 games a lot. You played 82. What do you think of when you hear the term load management thrown around?
It shouldn't be needed, first and foremost. I never wanted to miss a game because it was an opportunity to prove. It was something that I felt like, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me, and I want to shut him up. He's calling me all kinds of names. I definitely want to shut him up.
Right.
You have a duty that if they're wanting to see you, and as an entertainer, I want to show, right? So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it, and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens.
There you go. So if I can't do it physically, I can't do it. Hence an injury. But if I can do it and don't feel like doing it, it's a whole different thing. But back in the day, those players wanted to play. They played the 82 games. They did it anyway because they had a duty to the ticket buyer. They had a duty to the fans. They had a duty to the viewing audience. Okay, that's what they had, and they had this passion. Magic Johnson was talking about the same thing.
It's still about one thing, and that's winning.
Yeah.
No matter what.
The state of the game right now, and you've mentioned a little bit about the 40% decline in viewership.
Right.
Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how do we get it back?
Even for me, I love the NBA game, but then I turn on to a game, right? And then the stars are not playing because of Lowe's management. It's hurting the game. And I was with Michael Jordan, not last summer, summer before last. We ran into each other in Europe. And he says, Irvin, I don't know why these guys, because if you look at his record, he almost played every game like 5 or 6 times throughout his career. He didn't miss one game. He played in every game. We wanted to play in every game.
Yeah.
Pat Riley or our trainer, Gary Vitti, had to make sure that they said, no. B, don't put on your uniform. Don't come sitting on that bench because you would want to play because you want to play for your guys and with your guys. He made me wear a T-shirt.
He wouldn't let him put his uniform on when he couldn't play in the game because he know he would tear the damn jerseys off and go in the game. If he could.
See, the stars aren't playing. Magic Johnson said, when I go to a game, I turn it on, and the stars aren't playing, then why do I want to watch? You tune in to see the stars. You know, in my day, I wanted to see Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Allen Iverson. We wanted to see those guys put on a show. That's why you pay the tickets. But when the stars aren't playing, now you have to ask the question, are they spoiled stars? Are they coddled? Or are they not playing because they're trying to skew the results of the game in favor of gambling? I hate to think it. I would hate to think it, but now you have to. The gambling allegations, the gambling reveal that just came out, it casts a huge shadow and a lot of doubt over everything in the NBA and professional sports. You have to ask the question. Unfortunately, you do. Is it likely? No. I hope not. I mean, the Phillies pitcher versus the Dodgers, when he threw the ball to home instead of throwing it to first. Was it probably just a panic move because he was a young guy? Probably. But wouldn't it suck if they said, in that situation, we need you to screw up. If you get in a situation like that, or you got to do something to screw this up. It's kind of a real precise thing, and there'd be a lot of weird incidences that would have to lead to that. But you have to ask the question. I mean, let's stop and look at the WNBA. I've been talking a lot about the WNBA and the value of players like Caitlin Clark, right? The people who are putting asses in the seats and selling a lot of tickets. They have a lot of value. Caitlin Clark does, Sophie Cunningham does, Paige Beckers does, but more so Caitlin Clark. She's just on a total level of her own. Then all of a sudden she gets hurt. Okay. She gets injured, and then it was, she has a groin injury. And then she might be back in a couple of weeks. Then now it's day to day. And then she's like, my season's over for a groin injury. But my season's over, done. You got wondering, are they silent? You started first. Some people were saying, were they silencing her? Were they trying to keep her out of the limelight because they wanted attention on the other girls? Were they trying to punish her because she's getting too much attention and drawing it away from the other players of the WNBA? Or they're trying to teach her a lesson? A lot of people thought a lot of different things. But now you have to say, well, were they fixing the WNBA games to make money on their bets? Were they fixing the WNBA games and convincing her to stay out or keeping her out, having the team leadership keep her out so the bookies can make money or the gamblers can make money on those games. Well, oh, Matt, how could you say it? WNBA is so small. That's the thing, though. The WNBA, the gamblers will gamble on anything. I mean, there's stories of Michael Jordan betting during a game. They revealed in interviews. During a game, he said, I'll bet you $200 I score 40 points. And the guys took the bet. And they right there on the court, they're betting. One guy's on the bench. He's on the court. I'll bet you $200. And they make the bet. Now, it could be just guys talking. I'll bet you $200. But gambling is gambling. Thing is, people will gamble on everything. Michael Jordan's known to be to love to gamble. He'll gamble on golf games. Other people gamble on other things too. People will gamble on anything if you're addicted to gambling, okay? And a league like the WNBA is ripe for the picking for gamblers, and I'll explain to you why. First off, easy to rig, very small, not a big viewing audience. You're not going to have a lot of oversight. Number two, it's given $10 million every year by the NBA, so they're paying for it. So they don't have to worry about a loss because they're already in the red with a loss of money. They don't make money. They haven't turned a profit in 25 years. But it's not the product that they're making money off of, the success or failure of the product overall. It's the game-by-game situation. I bet you that the Chicago beats the Fever by X amount of points. I bet that the Fever don't make it to the finals. Well, I bet you they do. Okay, now Caitlin Clark is out. Biggest weapon's gone. I bet you they don't even make it to the playoffs. Let's try that one. I bet you they don't make it to the playoffs. She takes herself out is taken out prior to the playoffs, during the playoff run. They make the playoffs. So now the person that made that bet lost, but Caitlin Clark was the one that's supposed to skew it. So now they got to change the bets and say, I bet you they don't make it to the finals. Well, Caitlin Clark's already gone. So anybody who bet prior to that she was anybody who bet prior to that she was going to, they were going to make the finals, they won their bet. They're going to make the finals. They lost their bet, right? So it's horrible to think it, but it's possible to fix it. And could it be the case? And that's the point I'm making. The NBA gambling thing casts a shadow over all of it. I mean, I'll even go as small as like Olympics, right? If you're performing the Olympics or Olympic World Championships and you're a gymnast, Simone Biles checked herself out because she was stressed and she abandons her team during the championship game, the championship match or whatever it was, and she leaves. She pulls herself out. Now her team's not good. Has their biggest weapon. Their biggest weapon's gone. So now they might lose. More likely to lose. Well, what if someone put the bets in there and then they go to Simone Biles and say, "Look, I'll just give you $200,000." I'll tell you what. The bet is $800,000. It's 2-to-1 odds. I'm betting $400,000. I'm making $800,000. I'll give you $200,000 if you just take yourself out, and you're good to go. It's that simple. Would you do that? You're being conspiratorial. Would you do it? Well, let's go to this part right here. The FBI says that former Raptor player Jonte Porter was threatened to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. Someone has gambling debts. They owe money. They're going to get their legs broken if they don't pay. They're going to lose their house if they don't pay. So what do? They're coerced by the mob into entering the scheme, to participating in it. Hey, Caitlin, I need you to I'm not saying she did it. I'm just saying this is how it could go. Caitlin, you want to have some success. You want to do this. You owe money. You got to make yourself hurt. Otherwise, we're going to hurt you. Take yourself out of the game. Otherwise, we hurt you. Simone Biles, LeBron James, how much debt do you have for gambling? We don't know, but that's the problem. That's the problem. Now, if you have players who are in debt, it causes issues because now they can be compromised, right? It can be compromised. Let's fast forward one day, all right? October 24th. The NBA releases a letter. October 24th, 2025. This is one day after the FBI came out and said, all right, we're making arrests. NBA puts out NFL puts out a memorandum. And after the introductory paragraph, which tells them what is going on, then they say, players should be reminded that they are prohibited from participating in or facilitating any form of illegal gambling, whether on sports, casino games, or otherwise. This includes betting on a website or app through a bookie, quote unquote, or any form of betting in states where it is not legal. Not only are NFL players expressly prohibited from placing any wager on NFL games, players, and or activities such as the draft, such conduct will also likely subject players to criminal prosecution, as various state laws ban insiders like NFL players from betting on their own sports. Then it gives them some rules. NFL players must, must not, place any bet on NFL football. 2, throw or fix any NFL game or event, or otherwise manipulate or attempt to manipulate any play or other aspect of an NFL game. They have to tell them to not do that. Your players should know not to do it. But now they're telling them NFL players should not throw or fix an NFL game or event or manipulate or attempt to manipulate any play or other aspect of an NFL game. They have to tell them that. 3, share confidential, non-public information regarding any NFL game, player, or event with a third party. What that tells me is that the players are freaking doing it. That they have to tell them. They're doing it. Why would you have to tell them if they aren't already doing it? Now, wait a minute. Players are also required to report a gambling debt of $10,000 or more and should be especially mindful that large gambling debts may make them vulnerable to bad actors seeking to exploit them. If you're telling your players that they have to report a gambling debt of $10,000 or more, then they're already gambling. Now, are they gambling on the sport? Probably. So, but why would the NFL put this out? It's called indemnifying yourself. In legal terms, it's called indemnifying yourself. There's a reason the NFL put this out. This should have been standard from the beginning of your career, right? It should be out to every player. But they put this out explicitly one day after the FBI had the bust on the NBA. The reason they put this out is for the NFL to indemnify itself. What does that mean? What that means is if players get busted in the NFL, which is inevitably going to happen if this investigation continues, right? If players in the NFL get busted for cheating or is exposed, they're going to try to cover the hell out of it if it is going on, which it probably is. They're going to try to cover the hell out of it. But if they're busted, the NFL can say, see, we told them not to do it. We said don't do it. I told you. Mom said don't play ball in the house. Mom, I told him not to play ball in the house and he broke your vase. I told him not to, but he did it. I'm indemnified myself because I said, hey, don't do that. NFL says, players, don't do that. And if you got $10,000 or more in debt, well, they could use that to blackmail you to start gambling and do other crap. That's what this is all about. Also says here, we continue on. I haven't read the players should report any instances in which a third party attempts to solicit or inquire about any non-public information about the player, his team, and or any matter that may affect the outcome of an NFL game, and should further report those instances, blah, blah, blah. That's just indemnification. That's all that is. This should be common freaking knowledge in every sport. Guys, rule 1, hey man, in your contract, don't gamble. You're not allowed to do it. Don't do it. If you do it, report it. If anybody approaches you, report it. Don't do it. Otherwise, you'll be kicked out of the league. You'll be banned for life, like Pete Rose. But no, they're not banned for life. This stuff's going on. They legalize, you know it is, because they legalize sports betting. Once you legalize betting on sports, you open the door for everyone, and it's online sports betting. It opens the door for everything. I mean, God, I don't even want to talk about how this adversely affects those non-NFL players or non-professional sports players or NBA players, the regular people who gamble on, FanDuel and all the rest. How does it affect them to know that they were gambling on something that was being skewed by the players and their cohorts? How does it affect them? Tremendously. So now all that's a big fraud because you were betting for X to happen, and then player says, I'm hurt now. I'm pulling myself out. Hey, guys, I'm going to take myself out. I know these guys are betting that I'm going to score X points, but I'm going to take myself out with an injury. So you guys can make a lot of money, but screw those guys with online betting. Also, there's players who are going to be involved with online betting. They're going to do it because they can do it under a pseudonym. They can have several different fake names that they make up, right? Aliases online to gamble. The minute you legalized sports betting, I mean, the hypocrisy of doing it and then telling Pete Rose, yeah, you're still banned for life. But the minute you legalize sports betting, you compromise the entire integrity of the sport. Because it's not just regular Joes that are going to bet like you and me. It's going to be the pros who are addicted to it, who have the money to do it. You're going to give a guy $50 million a year to play a sport. There's only so much you can spend. He's got money to burn. He's going to get $50 million every freaking year. So why not bet 10 grand? For them, 10 grand's nothing. 10 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand. For them, it's nothing as long as they're making their money back. And if they can fix a game to make their money back, all the better for them. This is where we are, kids. It's down the rabbit hole, man. It's getting worse. It's probably so far worse than I could even imagine, that we could even imagine at this point. I mean, now, God, now I don't even want to go. I don't want to go here. Oh yeah, and by the way, Terry Rozier, who is placed on leave for cheating during the game, faking an injury. Yeah, he's still going to get his full $28 million salary, though he's, cheated, gambled, defrauded the fans. He's still getting paid $28 million. But let me continue. This one here, God. The new SEC commissioner. This came out yesterday. SEC Commissioner Greg Sarkey has asked the NCAA to rescind its ruling allowing college players and staffers to bet on pro sports. Why in the hell is the NCAA even entertaining the fact that they're going to allow players to gamble on pro sports? These players who are going to gamble may become pros. So you're already compromising your integrity, and actually you're becoming, what's the word? Susceptible to intimidation because you're gambling. Well, if you gamble against us, then we may not sign you for X, Y, and Z. I mean, anything could be done. Right? But they can be blackmailed. Now these college players who are seeing, let's connect the dots. College players, a big battle going on. Oh God, I don't even want to go here. A big battle going on, okay? For years to get college players paid with name, image, and likeness money. Politicians, I've said this in previous shows, I've been saying it for a better part of a year now. Politicians, starting in California, were the ones who created legislation that required players to be paid to receive name, image, and likeness money, okay? Which is supposed to be a company wants you to sponsor their product, they pay you X amount of money, and you sponsor their product and you showcase it, wear it, use it, talk about it online. Why, I asked, why were politicians involved in that? Now, well, they're concerned with the athletes. Okay, I can take that partially, but to what end? See, politicians don't do anything simply because they're concerned. They don't. They rarely do, I should say. They will do it because they get something out of it. That's what politicians do. How can I benefit from this? Can I benefit from making my team better, getting better players from my alma mater? To help my donors, to appease those donors so they donate more money to me? There's one possibility. Do I do it because the players will have a player under my wing to say, look, this guy, I need your help during a campaign. Could you back me up and put your name out there for me? No, that they don't have enough weight because they're college players. But hey, players, you're making millions of dollars now. Can you donate to my campaign? I helped you. You helped me. Then there's that. But now we add this whole gambling thing. Now, circling back, I said I'm going to get to it. The mob, they have a lot of politicians in their pockets. They do. They donate money to them. They intimidate them. They have them on the side. They help them out behind the scenes. So what's to say that the mob, I'm not saying they're doing it, but what's to say that the mob couldn't go to a politician and say, hey, man, look, we want to make sure that these guys are making money. We want to make sure that we're getting our kickbacks on this one. And hey, NCAA, we want to make sure that they're gambling so we can make money, so you can make money. If we make money, we cut you your taste of it. And then you make money. What's to stop that from happening? Corruption's everywhere. Don't think that anybody's squeaky clean, especially if you're a politician. I don't think there's any politicians that are squeaky clean. And then you got to wonder, why were all of these, and I asked this before in numerous shows, every time we talked about transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, I asked, why are states' attorneys generals, 7 of them, were getting involved in name, image, and likeness legislation and transfer portal legislation? Why would politicians get involved? Not because they care about the kid. It's because it gives them something else. They get something else from it. And here we go. Poof, all of a sudden they have the settlement, the House settlement, House versus NCAA. There's the settlement. And the settlement is the SEC, or the SEC, the Power 4 schools. They are basically exempt from NCAA rules. They manage their own name, image, and likeness now, okay? They don't have any control by any other entity except for their own self-appointed entity that they manage, which I covered in a previous episode and some of my little short hot zones that I've done about this, right? They're not under any regulations, but then here comes the NCAA, pardon me, and they say, yeah, we're going to let players gamble on professional sports. If a player can gamble on professional sports, what's to stop from betting on college sports? If you're doing online betting, who's going to know? Because the NCAA doesn't monitor your stuff. They're not going to log into your account. It's completely private. You don't have to disclose it. And if you're part of the Power 4 schools and the kids that have the money, you are really not under NCAA rules as it is. They have their own kind of governing body now among the Power 4 schools, right? SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12. So, pardon me. So, who's going to monitor that? Nobody. So once you open the door and you let college players gamble on pro sports, now they're going to gamble on college sports. Most likely going to happen. And that being the case, college player, even if they're gambling on pro sports, college player gets into debt. They get into debt. You saw I read you the NFL letter. If you have $10,000 in debt or more, people can use that as leverage to intimidate you and coerce you into doing something else. Well, now we got players who might be allowed to gamble. They were going to be. SEC's Commissioner Greg Sarkey jumps in and says, wait, we got to stop and think about this. And if they allow it to happen, now you have college player who gambles, gets into debt with all this newfound millions of dollars that they're getting. You have guys who are getting $4 million, $7 million and no money. I mean, hell, man, you've got Greg Portnoy, Dave Portnoy from Bleacher Report, who paid a player, $10 million, I think it was, to decommit from one school and commit to Michigan, you have him talking about, and I'll talk about this in another show, $100 million, him and other investors putting together $100 million to get Caitlin Clark to leave the WNBA and start their own league. And I called it. I told you they were going to try to do that. I'll talk about that in another show. But you have wealthy people who are paying these athletes millions of dollars. And now the athletes, same thing. You got the extra money. What are you going to do with it? Well, I have money to burn now, so I'm going to gamble 10, 20 grand on X, Y, and Z because I have all this money coming in, and now I am in debt. And now I get contacted by someone from the mob who says, hey, man, you need to throw this game. You need to sit out. You need to pretend you're hurt. You need to screw up your performance. That's what I'm talking about. It's all compromised. All of it is compromised if this is allowed to happen. It's already starting. Now, new posting about 20 hours ago from On3 Sports. They said the NCAA Division I board announced Tuesday evening it has delayed a policy change allowing athletes to bet on professional sports. The effective date is now set for November 22nd. So they're still doing it just in time for Thanksgiving. How about that? Just in time for all the big Thanksgiving games and the bowl games coming up. Interesting. And the playoffs for the NFL. According to the announcement, Division I rules allow 30 days for schools to vote on potentially rescinding a proposal if adopted by less than 75% of the D1 cabinet. By delaying until November 22nd, the D1 board is setting the effective date to be one day after the close of membership recession period. D1 Administrative Committee voted to allow athletes to gamble on pro sports on October 8th, when D2 and D3 followed suit October 22nd. So it's not just D1, D2 and D3. Oh, yeah, y'all can gamble. That's cool. All of you can bet and compromise yourselves. Right? It was supposed to take place, policy was supposed to take place after November 1st. Now they're going to say, well, we got to vote on it. Well, do you really think they're not? God, if they vote against it, great. Right? D1s, think about it. 2 and 3 already voted. They already said, yeah, we're going to do it. Right? So D1's going, well, so they might hold off the whole thing, but they want D1 to vote first, and the others will probably follow suit. But do you think for a second, maybe, and I hate to think it, that the people of the D1 Administrative Committee don't have some influencing people saying, hey, you got to let them do this. You can make a lot of money on this if you gamble. We'll give you a cut, but I need you to vote for it. Let's watch and see. If they vote yes, then someone's getting money. Follow the money. Follow the money. If they vote yes to let players gamble, someone's getting money. The NCAA is supposed to be for taking care of athletes, to prepare them for their future, whether it be in the pros or when they leave school. The whole purpose of name, image, and likeness money was to make sure players have money, so when they get out of school, if they're not going to go pros, they're paid for their time and they have some money to use to start their lives going forward. It's not supposed to be straight business, which it's becoming. You're supposed to be taking care of these kids and protecting them. That's out the window. That's out the window because now it's all business. You may have some schools that are, trying to do the right thing and opting out of the settlement. But it's all out the window. And if they vote to allow these kids to gamble on sports, you've now compromised their integrity because now that opens the door for them to bet on potentially college sports too. And there's nothing stopping them. Again, once they create an online gambling thing, there's nothing stopping them because you can't monitor that. And that's where we stand. That's what happens with this is the repercussions. I've been thinking about this since it came down. It's like, holy crap. And I started putting it all together. The NBA sting, the NBA bust by the FBI compromises everything. And it makes us call into question every facet of sports, unfortunately. And I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that it's tainted. And when you're paying high school players, when high school players are allowed to receive name, image, and likeness money too, as seniors in high school or juniors in high school, and they're allowed to get paid, how far does it go? That's the problem. Once you introduce money and you introduce politics, there's so much legislation. I'll talk another show about the legislation that's been proposed by politicians over the last 6 months to a year. It's ridiculous. All trying to put their fingers in the pie of getting athletes paid for some reason. For some reason. We already explained why. It's not to do the right thing. It's so somehow they can benefit. But this is what happens with the NBA. This is what happened. There's a shadow over all of it. I mean, what do you think? I'm curious. Do you think that everything's corrupted? Do you think everyone's cheating? Do you think it's too easy to fix a sport? Do we have to call a lot of things into question? And should the NCAA allow their kids to gamble? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to hear your response. But you know where I stand. I'll fill in more about this as we find out more. Until next time, I'm Matt Roberts. Know your goal. Hi there. Thanks for watching the ProZone. Did you get the point? Check back more episodes. And if you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and you'll know what we've got coming up next. Bye.